The opening prayer will be given by Dr. James Webb, pastor of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. Dr. Webb, please, and then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We thank you, God, for the privilege to serve the people of Norfolk. We thank you for your wisdom, for this council, that they would make decisions that would be pleasing and acceptable to you, that will enrich the lives of the constituency to whom they are called to serve. We bless you and we praise you. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Webb, thank you. Appreciate it. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Mr. Burford?
Here.
Mr. Protagiru?
Here.
Mr. Riddick?
Here.
Mr. Smeagol?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Wynn? Here. Mr. Frame?
Here, the motion is to excuse Dr. Whibley, please.
Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protagiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
I vote to exclude her. Vote aye.
Mr. Smeagol?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
The motion is to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protagiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smeagol?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn? Aye. Mr. Frame?
Aye. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Norfolk City Council chambers. We're glad to have you here. For the benefit of those of you who do not regularly attend our council sessions, the procedure which we will follow for tonight's meeting is the first thing we're going to do is take up public hearings. There's 6 of them on tonight's docket. At the conclusion of the public hearings, we'll move directly to the consent agenda. A couple of items there. The council will probably vote on both of those items in one vote. At the conclusion of the consent agenda, we'll move directly to the regular agenda. There are, I think, 6 or 7 items there as well. We'll vote on all these matters in just the way they are numbered on the printed docket. At the conclusion of the formal agenda, if any member of the public would like to address the City Council on a non-agenda item, that's something that's not on our printed docket, you'll be given that opportunity. But in order to have your name called, you must have first signed a slip of paper, which the clerk has made available in the lobby outside of the council chambers before the meeting began. Before we move to the formal agenda, though, we do have one ceremonial matter, and it involves National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. And is Jan House here? Jan, would you like to come to the podium, and I'll read this, and we'd love to hear from you. This is such an important matter. The proclamation reads, whereas National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day is a nationwide observance that encourages people to take action in the fight against HIV/AIDS and raise awareness of its impact on women and girls. And whereas the global spread of HIV infection and AIDS necessitates a worldwide effort to increase communication, education, and action to stop the spread of HIV/AIDS. Whereas the Garden of Hope, Inc., quote, I am my sister's keeper, and close quote, initiative is to support this stance and teach women and girls about prevention of HIV and the importance of getting tested for HIV and how to live with and manage HIV/AIDS if tested positive. Whereas Garden of Hope, Inc., I am my sister's keeper, will celebrate National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day on Sunday, March 6, 2001. Whereas, as part of the advocacy of National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, Garden of Hope, Inc., I am my sister's keeper, will offer free testing and provide resources for counseling for those who test positive. Now, therefore, I, Paul Frame, Mayor of the City of Norfolk, do hereby proclaim March the 6th, 2001, as National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day in the City of Norfolk, and commend I am my sister's keeper for their efforts in this worthy cause, given under my hand this 8th day of March 2001, and I've signed it. Jan, here, let me give you this, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming down here and bringing this matter to our attention. Okay.
Good afternoon. Good evening. On behalf of the Garden of Hope Incorporated, I am my sister's keeper. I'd like to thank the Honorable Mayor Fram, each council member, the community that came out to support us. I would like all my supporters to please stand.
Wow, thank you for coming down. Wow, that's terrific.
We'd like to thank each of you all for joining us as we unite to take action in the fight against HIV/AIDS and raise awareness on the impact that HIV/AIDS has on women and girls. Thank you so much for this proclamation. We indeed appreciate it.
Well, thank you for bringing this to us. I know you're the project coordinator, and this is a wonderful turnout. Again, it's just a demonstration of how important this issue is to the health and welfare of our community, especially our young girls. So thank you for coming. Anybody else, Mr. Riddick?
One thing just crossed my mind. I don't know how the Ryan White grant works, but I wonder if organizations like this would be eligible to, get some of those funds to sort of offset their efforts.
We can look into that. We appoint the board to the Ryan White. We actually appoint the Ryan White board for the entire region out of Norfolk here, and we can see if there are funds that could be accessed for that. Okay. All right, well, thank you all for coming down. You don't have to wait around for our meeting if you'd like to go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a lot of recommendations. To come down on a Tuesday night.
That's Kurt Houston's.
Is it?
Yeah. That's his program.
Okay.
You bet.
The mayor? All right, public hearing 1, please.
Public hearing 1 scheduled for this day pursuant to action of council on February 15, 2011 under state law. Public notice having been inserted in the local press by the city clerk on the application of Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority for a change of zoning from R13 moderate density multifamily and C2 corridor commercial districts to IN1 institutional on property located at 7404 through 7416 Tidewater Drive. And by 6-0 vote, Planning Commission recommends approval.
All right, Mr. Morales is here from the Housing Authority to answer questions if there are any. There are no members of the public who have signed up to address the council on this matter. Okay, if there are no questions, you can call the roll, please.
The ordinance is captioned, an ordinance to rezone property located at 7404 to 7416 Tidewater Drive from R13 District and C2 District to IN1 District. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru? Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye. Public hearing 2, please.
Public hearing 2 scheduled for this day pursuant to action of council on February 15, 2011 under state law. Public notice having been inserted in the local press by the city clerk to hear comments on the conveyance of approximately .528 acres of land located adjacent to the I-64 West northbound off-ramp onto Tidewater Drive to Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority.
There are no members of the public who have signed up to address the council on this matter, and if there are no questions, so you can call the roll.
The ordinance is captioned, an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of a parcel of land along the eastern line of Tidewater Drive between Easy Street and Interstate 64 to the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority for the redevelopment of the Partridge Senior Apartments. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru? Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye. Public hearing 3.
Public hearing 3 scheduled for this day pursuant to action of council on February 15, 2011 under state law. Public notice having been inserted in the local press by the city clerk on the application of Suzanne Watson for a text amendment authorizing the establishment of therapeutic massage facilities by special exception within the Riverview Pedestrian Commercial Overlay District. And by 6-0 vote, Planning Commission recommends approval.
Patricia, is it Kairos? Is here to... Kipros, sorry. Okay, is here to answer questions if we have any. Okay, sounds like a good Greek Irish name there. Okay, go call the roll, please.
I have an ordinance captioned, an ordinance to amend Table 11-24.3 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Norfolk 1992 so as to permit therapeutic massage facility in the pedestrian commercial overlay district Riverview by special exception. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
No.
Mr. Smigiel?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
All right, public hearing 4, please.
Public hearing 4 scheduled for this day pursuant to action of council on February 15, 2011 under state law. Public notice having been inserted in the local press by the city clerk on the application of Cornerstone Baptist Church to close, vacate, and discontinue an unnamed 10-foot lane between Sewells Point Road and Mill Tate Avenue. By a 6-0 vote, Planning Commission recommends approval.
Okay, again, no one signed up to address the council on this matter, so you can call the roll, please.
The ordinance is captioned, an ordinance closing, vacating, and discontinuing a portion of the 10-foot lane between Sewell's Point Road and Milltate Avenue and authorizing the conveyance to the abutting property owners of any interest the city may have in the underlying fee of said portion of the 10-foot lane contingent upon the satisfaction of certain conditions. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye. Public hearing 5.
Public hearing 5 scheduled for this day pursuant to action of council on February 15, 2011 under state law. Public notice having been inserted in the local press by the city clerk on the application of Park Crescent Associates for A, a text amendment establishing the Park Crescent Plan Development District, and B, to change the zoning from R11 multiple family, moderate density multiple family residential district to PCPD R district on property located at 6450 Crescent Way. And by a 5-1 vote, the Planning Commission recommends approval on the creation of the district and on the implementation of the development plan.
All right, Mr. Beeman is here. The attorney, Rob Beeman, is here as the attorney for the applicant. If we have any questions. Okay, you can call the roll, please.
I have 2 ordinances for this, Mr. President. The first is an ordinance to amend Chapter 27 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Norfolk, 1992, so as to create the Park Crescent Residential Plan Development District. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru? Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye.
The
Public
second-
hearing 6. I'm sorry.
The second is an ordinance to rezone property located at 6450 Crescent Way from R11 to PDR Park Crescent District. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru?
If I could ask, these are for apartments, right?
Correct.
Public, yes. Yeah.
How many are we putting in here?
112. 112.
112.
Right.
It's adding 112.
I think that's right. Right.
Adding.
Thank you. Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Frame?
Aye. Public hearing 6.
Public hearing 6 scheduled for this day pursuant to action of council on February 15, 2011 under state law. Public notice having been inserted in the local press by the city clerk on the application of SLN Housing for A, an amendment from low-density residential to medium-density residential, B, a text amendment establishing the Point at Pickett Farms Plan Development District, and C, to change the zoning from R11 moderate density multiple family residential to PPFPD R district at property located on 5354 East Virginia Beach Boulevard, 5394 Green Plain Road, and 1131 Piney Branch Road. And by 4-1 votes with 1 abstention, Planning Commission recommends approval of the general plan amendment and of the creation of the Plan Development District and the change of zoning, Mr. President.
Okay. We've got, I think, 8 people who are signed up to address the council on the matter. When I call your name, please, if you'll come to the podium, identify yourself for the record by giving us your full name and then your present home address. Then we would like you to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. There are a couple of 3 speakers at least who have identified themselves as representing the applicant and would be glad to answer any questions. And then we've got, the 3 members of the public who apparently are supportive and a couple who are against. Let's see if we can get the issues out on the table first, and then we'll hear from maybe the council for the applicant. Dan Montague.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Dan Montague. I live at 4605 Crick Street here in the city of Norfolk. I'm also president of Sherwood Civic League. I can't believe that this is happening. That place back there is an oasis in the city. That's the first time since I left out west that I've heard a chicken cluck and a rooster crow. And it's really refreshing. And anyway, I saw horses back there. And I cannot believe that they're going to turn that into an apartment complex. The only problem we have in my neighborhood is the apartment complex. Every night, when I'm laying down trying to go to sleep, you hear ba-boom, 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 and then they turn right into the apartment complex. And the Compass every Sunday morning. Is there any crime in my neighborhood? It's 2800 block of Early Street. Sherwood Forest Apartments. And the thing about it is, I mean, unless you guys have ever gone back there, I think that you should not vote on it until you see it. I mean, this place is really nice back there. You know, if I had the money, I'd buy it myself. But the thing about it is, though, you know, why, if we're going to turn it into anything, let's turn it into a park. You know, but, you know, if you need a place to put apartments, put them over down Tidewater Drive where you was going to put that office tower. You know, this is the thing.
You don't own the property.
Yeah, you know, but what I'm saying, though, you guys are the one passing all the ordinances, you know.
Okay.
And so the thing about it is, though, to me, I like it the way it is, you know, and I think it ought to be kept that way. And you know, you guys on council ought to do all you can to keep it that way. And I mean, it's so nice and quiet and tranquil back there that it's unbelievable. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellis James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Members of council, Mr. Jones, our city manager. My name is Ellis W. James. I reside at 2021 Ken Lake Place here in the city of Norfolk. When I looked at the agenda for tonight, something suddenly struck me. I know I used to be able to look at the city manager's letters and see the different areas that were addressed with respect to the Planning Commission's hearings. Environmental was one of them. We've just had several items where there is environmental impact on the PH part of the agenda, and I can't find the word environmental anywhere. My concern is this. It is obvious that the city is pressed for development and for new revenues. I understand that. But if we take every last single spot in our city and turn it into an apartment complex or an additional traffic generating location, we're going to have serious problems. Although there is nothing in this description, I took some time to go and check on what the impacts were back there, especially with respect to what the implications of this ordinance are. It looks to me as if we're willing to sacrifice not only trees but wetlands areas unnecessarily, and that is the part that really concerns me a great deal. Sooner or later, we're going to run out of these locations, and then we'll say, oh gosh, I wish we had just paid a little bit more attention. I quite frankly am fascinated by the fact that you had a 4-1 and with one abstention vote on the Planning Commission. Somebody in this city has concerns along the lines of those of us who are struggling to protect what wetlands and open space that we have, and so I would urge you to defer this, and each of you, when you can find the time, to go out and look at this site. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Romine. Stephen Romine.
Mayor, City Council, I'm here on behalf of an adjoining property owner, Bush Development. I'm going to defer my time to Mark Rinaldi, one of the principals in that adjacent project. If it's okay with you.
The only chance you'll get.
Thank you.
All right, Mark Rinaldi, please.
Good evening, Mayor Frame, members of the council, staff, good evening. I'm Mark Rinaldi. I'm here tonight on behalf of the owners of the Crown Point Townhome Community located adjacent to the proposed point at Pickett Farms. My address is 4029 Ironbound Road, Williamsburg, Virginia. Some of you may know that the Bush Companies, which is the owner of this property and one of its many companies, began its real estate practice in Norfolk in 1875. We've developed, not unlike the Nussbaum Companies, multifamily, commercial, industrial developments over the years. We also developed Crown Point in the late 60s and continue to own that property. The proposed Pickett Point property can only be accessed through Raby Road, which today operates as a major cut-through between Military Highway and Virginia Beach Boulevard. Traffic concerns have been uppermost in our minds since first learning of this proposal just prior to the Planning Commission. We understand that a number of council members and senior staff also share this concern. The city has, however, in working very diligently with us, assured us that it will indeed be looking carefully at the traffic impacts of the proposal and will be requiring the developer to mitigate its traffic impacts as recommended by a traffic impact analysis that will be submitted as part of the site plan review process. This is as it should be, and we're thankful to the city for its leadership in this regard. We've worked with Nussbaum and the staff on a number of other issues, including emergency access, construction vehicle access, construction hours, and an unspecified proposed land use for one of the 3 parcels included in the rezoning. With the cooperation of Nussbaum and through the diligent work of senior city staff, we are comforted to know that the emergency access as shown on the plan will truly be used only for emergencies, that the emergency access bordering Crown Point will not be used for construction traffic and delivery of construction materials, that the hours of construction on the property will be consistent with norms established within the city through its noise ordinance, and that the parcel in question will indeed be left in its natural state, undisturbed and unimproved. Taken together, the commitments proffered by Nussbaum and the assurances by city staff in support of those commitments have brought us to the point of overcoming any objections that we had on this property, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rinaldi. Let's see. Steve Cooper, you're just here to support the project? You have?
Yes, sir, and answer any questions.
Okay. Mr. Embry, same. Okay. Mr. Myers? Mike? Okay. Sherry White, Rose White, do you want to add anything? Sure, please.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Sherry Morales White. I live at 4205 Presley Court in Suffolk, and I represent my parents, William and Margie Morales. In 1939, my grandparents, Gus and Myrtle Morales, purchased a farm in then rural Princess Anne County off of what was to become Virginia Beach Boulevard and Raby Road. We raised chickens, hogs, corn, wheat, and soybeans, but mostly we raised our families there, 4 generations. It was called Pleasant Valley Farm, but we called it the farm and home. In the mid-1960s, most of the farmland was leased to Bush Development Company, and Crown Point apartments were built, as was the 7-Eleven, and the Salvation Army was relocated there. In the 1990s, my grandparents passed away, leaving the farm to my parents. Over the years, my siblings and I have lived and played on the farm. We've married, had our children there, and enjoyed the last farm in Norfolk. My brother and I now have our own homes in Suffolk. My parents reside in assisted living, and my sister would like to move with her horses and chickens to her own farm in a more rural setting. S&L Nussbaum's plan to develop our farm as the Point at Pickett Farms is a good plan. They are a good company and have an excellent track record for their projects. Our family would like for the City Council to vote for this rezoning and plan so that our family farm can be developed to its full potential, and we will be able to provide for the care of our parents and the future generations of our family. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
No, ma'am.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the list of folks who have signed up to speak. If any questions?
I'd like to say one thing. I really applaud Bush Companies and Nussbaum. They're 2 real pillars of our community development and the quality of development for being flexible enough to work this out and not end up with a situation where they were at loggerheads and I think that's the way they've always done business, and I think it was a good solution to this problem. And I have no doubt that the end product will be something that we'll be proud of.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Frank, is Frank here? How many units are going up under this ordinance?
It's up to a maximum of 300.
300. And when we go from the present moderate density multifamily residential, how many does that allow?
260, 270, right?
Roughly, it's 270. You're talking it's a very small increment.
I understand.
Increase.
Is this within a transit-oriented development district?
No, sir.
Okay. That's what I got.
I'd just like to say, I've been there. I've looked at the property. I didn't even know it was back there, to be perfectly honest
Frank,
with you.
hold on.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't even know it was back there. So I have been back there, and I've also seen properties that SL Nussbaum has built, owns, and managed. And personally, I'm pleased with the product that they put out on the market. I think it's a good product. And the rental, the price for renting the units that they put on the market, you know, of course I would like to see everybody buy a house, but everybody can't buy a house. So I still think that everybody deserves a nice place to live, and I think that that development is going to preserve the wetlands, that parcel of land that the Bush companies were concerned about. They're going to leave that as open space. And so I think it kind of, it's the best of both worlds. We don't own the property, and, you know, we can't tell the Morales family what to do with it, but if they have to do something with it, and that's their choice, I think this is a good project.
Frank, how many bedrooms are going to be in each unit?
We don't regulate the size of the units. That's a question you'd need to ask the developer.
Okay, what is the developer here?
Yeah, it'll be a combination of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units.
With what, you know, with what's being high end, 3 or what? 3 bedrooms being the high end?
Somewhere around 15% ones, 60, 65% twos, and the balance 3.
Okay. Yeah. And how many streets will you be able to get in and out of? Just Raby Road, or?
Well, there'll be one main entrance coming directly into the property, then there'll be an emergency exit on another road in case of a fire. Two ways you can get out of the property.
Right. You know, because when you see something like this, if you see 300 or 270 units, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 cars there. You know, the property at the foot of the Granby Street Bridge, I don't know how many of us have gone across the Granby Street Bridge after 11:30 at night, and all you see is a sea of automobiles. And what I'm wondering, if 20 years from now we're creating another Texas Streets. You know, back in the late 80s and early 90s, Norfolk was known as the city for renters. And some of our former council members from over on the east side, you know, even went to court to prevent people from legally, you know, developing projects like this. And so I guess I can truthfully say that Crown Point, I remember when it was built, and I haven't seen it been neglected. You know, they've done a good job of probably keeping that property up. But I'm just really concerned about, you know, what's going to happen, you know, 20 years from now with this particular development. So, oh yeah, and one of the gentleman who spoke said that they will mitigate any traffic problems, and I was wondering, how do you plan to mitigate that? Do you plan to build any new streets? The gentleman who spoke from Bush, I believe it was.
I believe what he was indicating was that we would be evaluating the traffic impacts through the site plan process. We would be looking at a traffic impact analysis, and based on that, Public Works would be looking at obtaining potentially dedications, potentially signalization improvements. We can't tell you what the answer would be until we actually see the results of that traffic impact analysis.
Are the developers willing to defray any of these costs, should I say?
I think that would become a condition of their site plan approval if we can directly attribute it to the project.
The developer, is this Mr. Cooper?
Oh, he's okay. Go ahead.
And you're
Steve,
with.
Come on up here, will you, please? I mean, Steve works with SL Nussbaum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Steve Cooper with SL Nussbaum Realty Company at our offices are on Monticello Avenue, as you know. I'd like to address Mr. Riddick's concern about the parking. In this particular development, we'll have at least 2 parking spaces per unit. Some of the older properties that you see around the city that were built many, many years ago didn't have that parking ratio. And our experience is that's more than enough to accommodate the existing residents, and we don't have overflow parking onto the adjacent streets with that kind of parking ratio, and that's the ratio that we'll have in this community as well.
You know, I can't fault you for finding a nice piece of property and developing it. I can't fault you for that, and you're operating within the rules.
Right.
But I think that as a council, we need to re-examine where we are. And Paul, I'm going to say those were my exact words today with staff, is that are we establishing 5, 10, 20 years from now a new set of Texas streets? Not saying anything about your project, but tonight we're about to approve 412 apartments. And is that where we want to be as a city? Because I can tell you philosophically, it's not where this councilman wants to be. And this is probably something we need to examine as a body. It's not within a transit-oriented development district, which is what we're looking at for density around the light rail stations. We need to examine where we're going, examine our zoning practices, and to see whether or not we want to be a place where we're turning around and every time I'm seeing apartments are going up. And we're having problems with those that were set up in the 70s in particular. So, you know, I know that we're in this position now, but I would like one of those hours that we spend, that we sit down with planning, we look at the zoning issues and re-examine where we are on these density issues, because I have significant problems with density issues like this. It's not around a light rail station. It's not what the future of what we're looking for. They've done a good business decision and they've made it, and they're increasing it by 30 apartment units. We're stuck on this one, but I think we need to examine where we're going and taking this city in the future, because we're going to have a lot of issues. We're doing that.
And I'll let Tommy speak, but it comes back to having a real housing policy.
And we need to look at that.
I have a question in the statement. The question was, I noticed on the rendering that there was 2 ponds. Are those ponds active water ponds, or are they for drainage from the parking lot? Are they,
Those are existing ponds
Okay.
that were evaluated during the environmental assessment, which is acknowledged on page 2 of your staff report. Nussbaum designed the project to avoid impacts to those ponds, and they are maintaining the required buffers around those ponds so that they will not be creating water quality issues there.
The statement is in regards to the summer. I brought up the issue about apartments and had asked the city manager, Williams, to address this in our retreat in September about how we want to move, because my concern has always been that apartments, while they're good, SL Nussbaum does some great projects and they hold up. We've got some in our area. That do they end up becoming a drain on the city in the long run? Or when kids are going to schools, that's an expense. We have to provide fire. We have to provide police for the population growth. Does this end up costing the city more money in the long run, or do we end up making money? And so I concur with Andy. I think, I'm not against apartments. I just want to make sure as a city, are we moving in the right direction so that when my kids are still living here, are we going to end up with another Texas Street or East Ocean View, or where we have these apartments coming in? And like I said, SL Nussbaum does some great projects. I've been through a couple of them, and I understand this economic growth and development, that we need this, but we need to have that conversation, I think.
Well, Ken, let me just say that, first of all, I wouldn't want to hold this project hostage, 30 additional units, because of some concerns about, a housing policy here. There's been, and it hadn't been very subtle. I mean, there's been a real shift away from home ownership with all of this recent housing bubble, pop, when people were, everybody was pushing people into home ownership, and there were reasons for that, and I still, still believe that people ought to own their homes, but there's a substantial number of folks now who are moving, and elderly people and even young people, into apartments. There's a huge market in Norfolk for apartments on a square foot basis right now, the premiums are being paid in rents in Norfolk. I mean, substantially more than some of the other communities. And the Texas Street issue is, those buildings were built like right on top of each other. We actually bought some, a couple years ago just to put a small park in the place, just to tear it down because they were so crowded. But that's not what I've seen in this site plan. So, but I'm sorry, who was going to say?
No, I agree with you. I think that, and I don't plan on holding it up.
Okay.
As I said, I think it's prudent business decisions. They've done a good job. I have no issue with that.
Right.
And I wouldn't vote no on it because of some people made a prudent business decision. And we have not established a prudent housing policy that we need to examine. And I'd like that to be one of those afternoons, if we're under the new scenario, that we can sit down with the maps and say, do we want to maintain the zoning as it is or not as it is, and make those adjustments now. We're making adjustments tonight on the transit-oriented development district. Are we not, Frank? That's what that's about.
What you've done there, you're being asked to set a public hearing to actually do it.
Make adjustments.
Yes.
To that, right? Well, I want to look back because all I see are apartments going up in my city, and not to take anything from these people, but a lot of the people don't live here in my city, and I'm tired of it. And I think it's time that as a council we mature as a group and look at this issue of housing policy in the city. And are we going to keep allowing in one night 412 units? I know we're going to have more coming down the road at some point. And there may be a shift, Paul, back. The bubble is what it is, but it may shift back to single-family homes. Why? I don't know what they're doing at the beach, but are they voting on 412 units tonight?
Yeah, they're building on 1,000.
Building 1,000?
Yeah.
Good. They can build it on that side, not in my city.
Okay. And to be perfectly honest with you, Andy, I get where you're going, and like I said, I'd love to see everybody own a house because I'd like to sell as many. Exactly, I'd like to sell as many of them as I can. But when the housing bubble was a bubble, people couldn't give apartments away. You sign a 6-month lease, you get 3 months free. So it's one of those things that's up and down. Just with the economy, but new developments for housing, the financing is difficult to get on a commercial level, and apartments, banks are kind of giving that money away if the developer has a pulse, kind of like they were giving money away when we had the housing bubble if people had a pulse.
Right here. Okay.
Yeah, a couple things. To think we're going to end up with another Texas Streets, those were developed with people building 6 units, 12 units, 24 at the most, crammed in as tight as they could possibly get, and just milked for all the money they could get. You can go back to the 60s and the 70s and just go right down Little Creek Road and look at North Shore Gardens, Colony Point, Pinewood Gardens. You can go to University Village and all over the city and look at apartment projects that have been here 40, 50 years and how they're maintained, and there are no slums and there are no Texas Streets. They came into Denby Park and took out a 3-acre trailer park, and you're talking about slums and bad stuff, and really made a great impact on that. I think to even mention Nussbaum or the Bush companies or any of them in the same sentence as the Texas Streets is totally unfair and way out of line. And,
I guess
it is out of line.
If you don't understand,
whoa, wait a minute.
One second, I'm just going to say, if you don't understand the dynamics, when they built those properties that are called the Texas Streets now, they were built for military. The military went into home porting, and a lot of those ships were sent to Jacksonville, Florida. So that's what put that hole there, and those people had to put, people in there for rent.
I understand.
And that's the dynamic. It's not about equating Texas Street with Bush or with Nussbaum.
Thank you.
This is the dynamic that caused the Texas Streets.
Well,
and I guess my point is, and not, understanding what you're saying, but my point is that what dynamic will we face 20 years from now?
We're losing a carrier.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say my piece.
All right, hold on, wait a minute.
My piece is this. To the Defense of our administration, they've done a tremendous job. Frank Duke, in terms of how we approach the zoning, the percentage of open space, cars per unit, how we approach these types of development now, totally different than we approached it 20 years ago. The other thing that I believe is that when you go into some of these units and you look at them and you say, well, will these things pass the test of time 20 years from now? I believe they will. The types of amenities that they're putting into these units. Mm-hmm. When you talk about putting home theaters and the workout rooms and the amenities outside, the pools and what have you, in these types of developments, it is attracting young professionals back to the city of Norfolk. Mm-hmm. And that has value. That has value in terms of people working here, people spending money here, and people having families and continuing to want to live and transition from an apartment into home ownership within this city. We're competing with the other cities around Hampton Roads. And so I truly appreciate the commitment from all of these guys that are making the type of investment that they're making today, because it wasn't so long ago that we were getting this type of product. The types of products that we were getting, again, would yield quickly the social and economic issues that we've had in some of our more fragile neighborhoods. But I truly appreciate this, because this is going to help us long term. And so I just don't see that happening. I just don't see it happening.
Okay, did you want to add something, Tommy, Andy, anybody?
I'm done.
I just want to say, but also open space and parks also bring young professionals into our city as well. So it's not always just, I mean, I agree with what Councilman Burford was saying, but there's other things that bring professionals into our city as well.
Yeah, there has to be a balance.
Yeah,
for sure.
And they've struck that here. I believe they've struck a good balance here.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Roll. No.
Mr. Riddick asked me a question, and I didn't have an opportunity to respond. So I'd like to take just a second to respond, if I could. I believe his question.
About the proffers. Right.
Pardon me? What was the Bush companies going to do?
Okay.
And I think the question was more appropriately addressed to them. It's not our responsibility to mitigate their traffic impacts.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to thank Mr. Wynn for his kind remarks on behalf of the Bush companies in Nussbaum. We have tried to work collaboratively with them to not become a thorn in their side and to be supportive. We're in the same business they are. We appreciate the city's stance on property rights, and we respect that. I can't go without saying, however, particularly when it comes to the traffic issue, in theory, it's 30-some more units, but in reality, the current zoning on the property would not permit anywhere near that. With the setbacks, the yard requirements, and the fact that you can only build 3 to 5 units per building, which is not the product that Nussbaum builds, the density, the real density on that property as it's zoned today is substantially lower. So that's only, not trying to say that we're opposed to the project. I'm just saying that really the increment is substantially more than that 30.
I appreciate it.
That's all I wanted to share. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay.
I have 3 ordinances, Mr. President.
All right.
The first is an ordinance to amend the general plan of Norfolk 1992 so as to change the land use designation for property located at 5394 Green Plain Road and 1131 Piney Branch Road from low-density residential to medium-density residential. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
I'm going to vote no on all 3, and it's basically the impact that the traffic is going to have on Lowry Road, Raby Road, and I just think that military highway corridor with the Walmart there and the Farm Fresh and all of the Lowe's and the Home Depot, the traffic is just going to be horrendous, and I vote no on this one as I will on the other 2.
Mr. Smigiel?
As much as I'd love to see that area stay open space, it is private property and they have the right to develop it how they want, and so aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye.
The second is an ordinance to amend Chapter 27 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Norfolk 1992 so as to create the Pointed Picket Farms Residential Plan Development District. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
No.
Mr. Smigiel?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye.
And the third is an ordinance to rezone properties located at 5394 Green Plain Road and at 1131 Piney Branch Road from R11 to PDR Pickett Farms District. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
No.
Mr. Smith? Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye. Okay. Thank you all for coming down here. Appreciate it. The consent agenda. There are 2 items there. Would any member of the council like either one of these matters to be considered separately?
C1.
Okay, C1, please.
C1 is a letter from the city manager presenting the recommendation of the Planning Commission on the application of the city to amend the general plan to designate areas appropriate for transit-oriented development on the future land use map.
Explain what
Mr.
that
Duke.
is to me.
Now, this is around the light rail station.
Frank, could you explain to me what this is all about?
Yes, sir. When several years ago, when we began developing the TIDE, council directed us to come up with some development standards for application in the vicinity of light rail stations. We held a series of community meetings in the eastern areas of the city. We did not do any downtown because we have the downtown master plan that said all of downtown functions already as a single transit-oriented development. And we had these community meetings at the eastern part of the city in the vicinities of each of the rail stations. And as a result of that, we developed a series of proposed or recommended amendments to the general plan that would define the areas where transit-oriented development could occur. This is a density of a higher intensity and a higher density than you might otherwise get in order to facilitate and enhance transit usage, particularly in the vicinity of train stations. And then we also developed a list of proposed uses as well as development regulations to be applied within those areas. We're not recommending that any of these areas actually be put on the ground. This is just the text amendment because we feel we need to be able to work with developers as they're coming in with an actual proposal to ensure that we're not having adverse impacts on neighborhoods. The regulations are set up to ensure that we do maintain a transition between the more intense development toward the center of these areas and a less intense development that would transition down to be more compatible with the neighborhoods that are surrounding them.
Okay. Thank you.
And I should acknowledge Mr. Burfoot, who's been encouraging me on this for the past 3 years. So just sorry it took us this long.
Approve the consent agenda, Mr. Burfoot.
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru.
Aye.
Mr. Riddick.
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel.
Aye.
Ms. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Wynn.
Aye.
Mr. Frame.
Aye. R1, please.
R1 is an ordinance granting a special exception to permit the operation of a therapeutic massage facility on property located at 111 Pennsylvania Avenue. By a 6-0 vote, Planning Commission recommends approval. Dispense with the charter requirement reading the ordinance.
Why was one a public hearing and one a regular?
Right, yeah.
The public hearing was to permit this application for a special exception, and so that passed. And so this is now eligible to be placed within that zone by special exception.
And there's been an increase of these. Is there a reason why we're seeing an increase of this type of establishment? All of a sudden, is there a market out there?
Answer yes.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. I mean,
Your wife, she might like a
Right.
gift certificate for her next anniversary birthday. Yeah,
There's lots of therapy.
There is a market for these. These are not what you typically might have thought of 10 years ago as a massage parlor. These are therapeutic massage where they're doing helping you relax your muscles, and it's a very different approach from what you might otherwise be thinking of. And yes, there is a growing market.
Okay, Frank.
Very relaxing. Very relaxing.
Maybe we should get one of these companies to come in and do a demonstration.
Have a seat. All right. Does that answer your question?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe one day they'll come in and do a demonstration.
All right, call the roll, please. Okay.
Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burfoot.
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru.
Aye.
Mr. Riddick.
No.
Mr. Smigiel.
Aye.
Ms. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Wynn.
Aye.
Mr. Frame.
Aye, R2.
An ordinance appropriating the sum of $180,000 as a result of the recovery of hazardous materials response costs and authorizing the expenditure of said amount by the Norfolk Fire Rescue Department. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burfoot.
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru.
Aye.
Mr. Riddick.
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel.
Aye.
Ms. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Wynn.
Aye.
Mr. Frame.
Aye, R3.
An ordinance appropriating and authorizing the expenditure of an additional $1,966,924.64 from the Commonwealth of Virginia for the fiscal year 2011 Comprehensive Services Act for At-Risk Youth and Families Funds Pool, appropriating and authorizing the expenditure of an additional $640,000 in local matching funds from the city. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burfoot.
Aye.
Protogiru.
Aye.
Mr. Riddick.
Just one question. on the Dropbox, it's 2,606,924.64, and on this item is 1,966,924.
You got to add them both up.
But then you still have the 640 there.
Mr. Wynn has it correct that
Okay.
the grant is the $1.9 million number.
Okay.
And the matching portion is 640, and that gives you the 2,606,000.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Okay. I vote aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Ms. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Wynn.
Aye.
Mr. Frame.
I'm impressed Mr. Riddick is reading the Dropbox. I mean, writing. Aye.
I'm curious about his
All right, R4.
Through that class.
An ordinance to amend and reordain Section 24-208 of the Norfolk City Code 1979 so as to provide the administrator the discretion to implement a procedure to substitute the exemption affidavit for an annual certification affidavit for the renewal of the application to receive real estate tax relief for elderly and disabled taxpayers. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Mr. Burford?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiru?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Did we do away with the notary part on that?
Yes.
We did do away with that part.
Yes.
Okay, aye.
Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?
Aye.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, that concludes the formal portion of tonight's agenda.